بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين. We have been looking at Imam Razi's discussion on the nature of guidance. And last time, in the last session, we looked at its claim that the purpose of the creation of body is to provide guidance to the soul. And from there, he goes on to argue that the creation or the created beings is subservient to guidance, and the purpose of, or the greatest or the main purpose of the main purpose is to seek guidance and achieve guidance and to follow the guidance. And since the object of guidance is the soul and not the body is just the instrument, that's why the body is so the object of guidance is the soul. That's why the soul has priority and the main focus, and the body is just an instrument for that soul. So we looked at this in detail, and now we move on to the next paragraph, which is the last paragraph we are going to consider, and this is one of the really moving paragraphs you will find in the whole Islamic literature on the topic, as well as in the Tafsir al-Kabir. Imam Razi is known as a great usuli and mutakallim and a philosopher and logician. But if you read his tafsir carefully, you'll see that he is also a great Sufi, a great Arif Billah, as this next paragraph makes it clear. So let's start to read the paragraph and then try to see if we can understand it a bit. He goes on to say that so the last time we did, I'll just read the paragraph without going into it. The previous one, the one we did, just to provide the continuity. He said, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْمَقْصُودَ من خلق الجسد حصول الهداية للروح كما قال تعالى أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون. سورة النحل. وهذا كالتصريح بأنه تعالى إنما خلق الجسد وإنما أعطى الحواس لتكون آلة في اكتساب المعارف والعلوم. وأيضا فالأحوال الجسدية خسيسة يرجع حاصلها إلى الالتذاذ بذوق شيء من الطعوم أو لمس شيء من الكيفيات الملموسة. أما الأحوال الروحانية والمعارف الإلهية فإنها كمالات باقية أبد الآباد مسونة عن الكون والفساد. فعلمنا أن الخلق تبع للهداية والمقصود الأشرف الأعلى حصول الهداية. So we did until this point. So the next paragraph we are going to consider is إذا ثبت هذا فنقول. So not sure how this paragraph follows from the previous one. إذا ثبت هذا, so it seems like by haza what he is referring to is what we consider above in the above paragraphs, but it's not very clear how the division of being into creation and guidance, and then body and soul, and the consideration that soul is an instrument or a mere instrument of the instrument of the soul, and the purpose of the sole purpose of the body is to support the soul and support and provide it with the instruments to achieve the guidance, and the real purpose is the guidance and real focus is the soul. From this, it doesn't seem to follow as such that al-uqulu muttariba wal-haqqu sa'ab. But maybe I missed something. But anyway, it's not important to understand the transition. So we'll just go straight to the paragraph where he say al-uqulu muttaribatun wal-haqqu sa'ab. العقول مضطربة والحق صعب والأفكار مختلطة ولم يسلم من الغلط إلا الأقلون، فوجب أن الهداية وإدراك الحق لا يكون إلا بإعانة الله سبحانه وتعالى وهدايته وإرشاده. ولصعوبة هذا الأمر قال الكليم عليه السلام بعد استماع الكلام القديم رب اشرح لي صدري. وكل الخلق يطلبون الهداية ويحترزون عن الضلالة مع أن الأكثرين وقعوا في الضلالة، وكل ذلك يدل على أن حصول الهداية والعلم والمعرفة ليس إلا من الله تعالى. So I'll just stop here and consider the meaning first, and then go into some discussion of some of the points if needed. Okay, let's go through some of the main concepts and words. So first we have al-uqul. So it's talking about the uquls are reason. It's plural, so reason. But al-aql is more than reason. It's like your full capacity to understand something. Understanding. So your, in a sense, consciousness. Your capacity for consciousness to understand things, to grasp things, to understand the reality of things. So al-aql is a capacity for consciousness, a capacity to understand things. So if we look at, for example, Sayyid Sharif Jurjani's book on definition, for example, one of the things he says about al-aql is that it is this al-aqlu or reason, one of the things he said that so reason is a capacity of ourself through which it understands things, itself and others. So it's not the same thing as ourselves. So in that sense, this capacity is the instrument of the self. But it is also the element of self which one of the most important element of the self, because without it the self wouldn't have any understanding of itself or anything else. That's why he also says that al-aqlu jawharun ruhani. So it's a spiritual essence, or substance within of ourself, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, khalaqallahu ta'ala, and it is muta'alliqun bi badanil insan. So it is connected to the body of human beings. So you need body for it to function, but in itself it's not a bodily thing. So it's a function of mind in a sense. It's related to the mind, and through mind to the brain and to the body, but it is not body. It is a spiritual substance. And he also says that al-aqlu nurun fil qalb. And this is very close to what Imam Razi says in al-Ihya. Nurun fil qalb is the light in your is the divine light. Divine doesn't mean that it has divine, it's a created being. So divine mean it has that dignity which relates it to or make it capable of knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So divine not in the sense that this is divine, but divine in the sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put this nur in there. So al-aql is a nur. It's a light, divine light in your heart. And by heart we here mean our consciousness. Because in our heart in Arabic mean used basically for three meaning. First, just what our physical heart, but it also mean al-aql, the reason or consciousness, and it also means something pure. So it is al-aql, or reason is a divine light within in the center of our consciousness. Nurun fil qalb yariful haqq wal batil, which knows, is able to know truth from falsehood. And that's what gives this spiritual substance, which even though it's spiritual, it is closely connected to the body, its dignity, because It has this capacity to differentiate truth from falsehood. It has this need to know the truth. So in a sense, it's in the nature of al-aql in this sense to seek guidance, to long for guidance. And this is what makes it unsettled. Or this is what disturbs it. This is what makes it uncontent, uncontent, and it seeks content through seeking the guidance. And that's what makes this substance, al-aql or reason, gives it its dignity, its relation to the guidance, to al-hidayah. And al-hidayah or guidance is the, as we saw, the highest station of human beings. And in that sense, al-aql is relation or longing, and its recognition of the need for guidance is what makes it such a noble element in human beings. And that's what differentiates us from other beings, because other beings' guidance is within their being fully, and our guidance is within our being, but also the one which part of that guidance is which we need to seek through different means. And that's something which is very noble. Okay, so let's go back to Imam Razi. So he said, al-uqul mustariba. So these human reasons, human capacity for rationality, or human rational self, let's say, is unstable, uncontent, disturbed, confused. Why it is confused? Because it longs for guidance, but it also realizes that it can't reach the guidance through its own. So al-uqulu mustariba wal haqqu sab, and the truth, the ultimate truth, is difficult. So there are two things Imam Razi is saying. Imam Razi is saying here. First, that al-uqul, that is our rational self and our rational capacities, in rational in the broader sense in which we just described it, selves are troubled, confused. That's what muttariba. From istirab, uncontent, longing, and they're confused because its nature long for the ultimate truth, but it is uncontent and confused and troubled because it also realizes that, and that's the second part, al-haq, the truth is sa'b, it's difficult. And by al-haq, I mean the ultimate truth, like nature of this universe, nature of God, and what is our purpose in this life, and what is our destination. So, by its very nature, our reason long for that truth, but it also realizes that it is very difficult to reach that truth, and that's what makes it, troubled. Istirab. We need all these to translate: troubled, confused, uncontent, unsatisfied, unstable, because of this dual realization that it is by its very nature it can't be fulfilled unless it knows the ultimate truth, but it also knows that it cannot know the ultimate truth on its own. It's very difficult, very difficult. And basically, with these points, what Imam Razi is getting at is something which is central to Ashari ilm al-kalam, and I think Sunni ilm al-sunnah ilm al-kalam in general, is the realization that our reason is not self-sufficient. So this is a very important point, because they are not denying that reason has the power to know. The truth. But what is denying is that the ultimate truth, reason can walk towards it, but it doesn't have cannot know the whole ultimate truth on its own. So they are not denying the necessity of the reason. What they are denying is its self-sufficiency. And that's the basic meaning of denying at-tahsin wa taqbih al-aqli, as against Mu'tazila, for example. And that follows from these 2 points, that by its very nature our reason long for the truth, it needs truth. Its very essence is seeking and longing for that truth, the ultimate truth. But on the other hand, it realizes that the ultimate truth is very difficult and it's very hard, and although it can walk towards it, it cannot reach it without it. So from these 2 points, it's by very nature it longs and needs the ultimate truth. Realizes that the ultimate truth is very difficult, and although it can walk towards it, it cannot on its own reach it. So it needs, that's from where the need for guidance arises. It needs guidance from some higher being, and that's for us is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the universe. the sole creator of the universe, the ultimate, the infinite, the eternal. And that's actually the argument for the existence of God, and also for the necessity and the need of revelation and all those things. And so in that sense, denial of the limitation of reason in that sense, or belief that reason is self-sufficient, is actually denying the need for guidance and denying the need for revelation. Apart from the fact that reason actually doesn't have that power. So that's a factual thing. So what you're denying is the self-sufficiency of the reason. From this, it follows that we need the need for guidance. And need for revelation in that, a need for prophethood, and all that. And basically this is a rejection of not reason but rationalism, which is actually irrational. Rationalism is irrational because it attributes to reason something, self-sufficiency, which it doesn't have in many senses. So in that sense, we deny rationalism. But that doesn't mean we deny reason, because we don't deny the necessity of reason, because it's actually absolutely necessary, because it's a divine light in us, which is absolutely necessary to differentiate truth from falsehood, but also even to realize the need for guidance. And once guidance comes, to understand it, really. So it's absolutely necessary. And that's the basics of Islamic belief system and kalam and all that, which all schools of thought, doesn't matter you're Mu'tazila or Shia or Sunni, or within Sunni ilm kalam, different schools. The first thing which al-mukallaf, a responsible person, a rational person, is obliged to do is to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that recognition cannot happen without reason. So in that sense, reason is necessary. But reason is not self-sufficient. If reason were self-sufficient, there wouldn't have been any need for revelation, any need for guidance whatsoever. So and this is, in a sense, that the basic point he's making, which follows from Ash'ari and Sunni denial of at-tahsin wa taqbil aqli. Okay, so we'll stop here and we'll continue with this amazing paragraph, inshallah.